Zuko, Zuko,
Hi, Zizi.
only when the chairperson is on the platform, ne?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Good evening. We've got 5 minutes, so let's just give some time for members that were in a sitting in Parliament, just maybe to get to their devices. Thank you.
Good afternoon, honorable members. I'm just checking to see if the sound is okay. I'm in a bus traveling to the house, so there may be some disruptions.
Sound is fine, thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. Thank you for availing yourself for this continued meeting. I want to welcome the Minister and the Deputy Ministers, the DG and his personnel, and also personnel of Parliament, and then also members of the committee, and then other members that also attend. May I ask that we just flight the agenda quickly? Whilst we are waiting for them to flight the agenda, can I then ask that we have a moment of silent prayer or meditation? Thank you very much. Is there any apologies?
Good evening, Chairperson. Yes, I received an apology from the Deputy Minister, Seihlulo. He's attending another meeting of the Department of Water and Sanitation. That is all.
Thank you very much. May I also welcome back the DG from overseas. He visited the Netherlands. DG, welcome back. I hope you brought us some good news and money.
Yes.
So, yes, I like that word. Yes, that's good. Colleague, can we then continue with the briefing by the department? We already had the briefing in the previous meeting, and now it is the opportunity for asking questions. Is everybody happy that we can continue with that? Honorable Mbiku, your hand is up.
Good evening, Chair. I just wanted to report that I'm in a bus from the house. There may be some noise here in the bus, and maybe I may get cut off, but I'm connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Moore?
Thank you, Chair. If I can just seek some clarity, please. The presentation that was done was, the reason we're having this meeting is the presentation that was done was different than the presentation that we had received. However, the updated presentation that we've received is the same as the one that we had previously. So the presentation that was done, I want confirmation. The presentation that was done was wrong. They did it on a wrong presentation. Or was that the correct presentation and we've been sent the wrong presentation again? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, DG. I know you were not at the previous meeting, but would you like to comment on this?
Joy manages that for us. Joy, can you come in, please?
Good evening. A mistake that happened was that the incorrect presentation was flighted at Parliament, but members had been given substantially the same presentation that they have now. The difference is right at the beginning where our planner and the CFO have done comparisons of Q2 and Q3 so that members can see how we've moved through the two quarters in terms of performance. Thank you.
Honorable Moore, are you satisfied? Can we continue?
Chair, we can continue, although I have to note a concern that the wrong presentation was given the wrong stats about quarters by the leadership team at the time, and no one else noticed it. And that's of concern to me, Chair. But let's continue because obviously we need to deal with the matter of the day.
All right. Can I then ask members, firstly, I want to ask members, do you want us quickly to have a 15 minutes quick briefing again by the department on this report and then continue to questions, or are you satisfied that we can proceed with questions? Honorable Kobe?
Thank you, Chair. I'm in the car, so I'm hoping there aren't any distractions on your end in terms of sound. But I was proposing for a refresher, 15-minute refresher would be great so that we are aligned with the department.
All right. Honorable Reddy, I know you were not at the previous meeting, so having a short refreshment will also assist you in this matter.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. DG, can I then ask that we have a very short refresher, and especially where it was said that in the beginning there was some difference. If we can maybe concentrate on that as well, but let's make it 15 minutes and then we will go over to questions. Then you may continue. Minister, I don't know whether you would like to say something before we start.
No, Chair. No, Chair. Good evening to you, Chair, and to all honorable members. Chair, I'm fine. We can go straight to the CFO to do the 15-minute high level because the presentation was done. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. DG, you may then continue with the presentation from the department side.
Thank you very much, Chair. Babalwa will present the non-financial performance in a very summary form, and then the CFO will present the financial performance. Babalwa.
Thanks, DG. Good evening to the Minister, honorable members of Parliament, and colleagues on the platform. Just an indication that by the end of the second quarter, the department had obtained a 67% performance as reflected in this slide. And we have also highlighted all those areas of underperformance in summary form. If you go to the next slide, this is just a comparison year on year of how we performed at the same period in the previous financial year, which was in 2023. We had obtained a 55% performance, and this year we indicate a significant improvement to 67% if you compare. And also the graphs below indicate the performance per program. You see that the two significant improvements were observed under water resources management and water services management in the second quarter. Also, if you go to the next slide, it's just an indication of the performance of SMME procurement, which was above the planned targets of 30% overall and 15% for qualifying small enterprise and exempted enterprises. Then the next slide just provides the figures of procurement from designated groups. If you allow me, Chairperson, I wouldn't want to go through those figures again for the sake of time. Then what we've also included is, of course, the performance of grant-funded projects by the end of the second quarter. You will see that for the regional bulk infrastructure grant, we had 82 projects under construction, of which 5 were completed. Water services infrastructure grant were 331 projects, and of which 56 were completed. Budget for facility infrastructure, we had 15, and of course the interventions were 7. Then if you go to the third quarter, you'll see that there's an improvement, slight improvement, 1% more in terms of performance. That is then indication per program. Sorry, excuse me. If you go to the next slide, it's also a comparison year on year. You'll see also there's that 1% improvement compared to the previous financial year. And then you'll see that the program performance also, particularly in the water services management, shows a significant improvement compared to the previous financial year. Then if you go to the next slide, it actually indicates the SMME procurement for the quarter cumulatively at 35% overall, and then at exempted micro enterprises, 20% and 15% respectively. The next slide indicates the preferential procurement for designated groups. You'll see that there's a significant improvement that the department procured from the designated groups. And then if you go to the grants performance, which is in slide, go to slide 31. It indicates also an improvement or an increase in the number of projects that we had for regional bulk infrastructure projects to 91, and the completion also increased to 10. Water services infrastructure is static. 57% of those were completed, and the budget for facility infrastructure projects were at 15 construction, and the number of interventions were increased based on the additional intervention. So that moved from the second quarter to a total of 8. If you allow me, Chairperson, I would want to hand over to the CFO for the financial performance.
Thank you very much, and good evening. Zuko, let's go straight to slide number 37. I'll start first with the second quarter. As requested, yes, slide number 37. Also, in relation to what my colleague has presented, we were requested to put more emphasis on the 2 quarters respectively. So at the end of the second quarter, we were at 46.6%, and we discussed previously the economic items there. And then we move forward to slide number 38, where we are reporting on the third quarter budget and expenditure for the department, which is now at 72%. The message that we have conveyed to the portfolio committee is that we have put in measures to ensure that by the end of the financial year, which is the coming week, we would have spent the full budget. So we have those plans, and we have done our projections through also our internal management meetings. We have confirmed to our executive authority that the full budget will be spent. Then I will move straight to the financial recovery plan on slide number 43. Slide number 43, which is the second part of the presentation. This is a summary of the unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure, which is part of our financial recovery plan historic accounts. We have made progress in terms of clearing those historic cases, including investigations as well as condonations. We also reported that some of these matters are still with the law enforcement agencies, including the SIU. Then the subsequent slides reflects the detailed status and comments on each case, so I'll skip those ones. Go straight to the slide number 47 for the trend analysis. So those cases are reflected there. So in terms of trend analysis, our goal, as we have previously reported, is to ensure that we do not incur any of the irregular expenditure. The current reported amounts are those that are part of the condonation. The contracts have been terminated, and the Director General also took the necessary corrective actions in line with the guidelines and instruction notes from National Treasury. So we are finalizing the condonation of these amounts before we close the financial year, and we are still positive that we will reach the goal of eliminating this irregular expenditure as we clear the historic contracts. And then on slide number 48, which is the second last, slide number 48 is on fruitless and wasteful expenditure as well. We are still having some of the cases on the water trading entity, the construction unit. We have reported the strategy that we have implemented to also make sure that we eliminate. The trend itself is also reflecting that the interventions by the department are yielding the results. The last part relates to the audit action plans that is now on slide number 52 for the main account. And then, yeah, it reflects the progress that we have made in resolving those audit findings. As indicated, the remaining findings, both on slide number 52 and 53, we are working on resolving those in the fourth quarter, and some have dependencies that will be clearing now as we close the financial year. So we are working towards clearing all of them. Thank you very much, DG. That is the summary of what we presented, including elaboration on the two quarters as requested.
Thank you very much. DG, would you like to add something to the presentation?
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Chair.
Minister, from your side, Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair. We are covered on the high-level summary by both Babalwa and CFO. We may proceed. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, now it's your time to ask questions. Can I see hands, please? Honourable Reddy.
Thank you, Chairperson. Am I audible?
Yes, can I ask that we do 2 questions round, please?
Thank you very much. May I thank the department for the presentation. And my question relates to access to piped water. The report indicates that 75.8% of households have access to piped water within their dwelling or yard as per the General Household Survey. What strategies are in place to increase this percentage, and what is the projected timeline to achieve universal access? Then let me just go to water quality concerns. The report highlights a deterioration in municipal water and sanitation services, with poor microbiological compliance increasing from 5% in 2014 to 46% in 2023. What immediate actions are being taken to address the decline in water quality, and how does the department plan to support municipalities in improving their water treatment processes? I'll stop there and I'll wait for the next round. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Minister?
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, let me invite the DGG for Water Services to be able to respond to this. The support that we give to municipalities on the poor water quality as per the drop report is that as we give them the grant, the allocation of the grant, we expect municipalities to do better. We do send our teams to municipalities. Our technical teams are working with municipalities. That is why you see other municipalities have changed, because there is always a political will. But Honourable Reddy is correct that as we said, that the water quality is deteriorating. So there is a measurement that we use in terms of alerting municipalities and what they are expected to do, but the full detail can be responded to by DDG Mate. Thank you.
DDG?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister. The question by Honourable Reddy is clear and understood. We also just want to put through a message that we are actually chasing a moving target, and what the department is doing is to support municipalities through our grants. And what we have done now is to accelerate more oversight in all our grants. And we can clearly report here, Chair, that we have done a roadshow as water services in the department throughout all those 9 provinces, where we met with all the water service authorities. And our message was to track progress on all the grant-funded projects. We have just identified as well some of the gaps as far as procurement is concerned, delayed projects, some stoppages in most of the projects. And we have now just identified a strategy to use our intervention team in a department where we've got group of engineers and project managers supported by our regional offices. This is how we are actually supporting municipalities. Yes, when you look at the current target now, it's sitting at around 78% or so. But however, there are areas in the country where they've got full access in some suburbs. But on average, due to the settlement patterns of our country, we still have those pockets of areas where there are people who don't have a full supply. But as I've said, the support from the department is clear, as I've indicated, and we're actually continuing to support. Honorable Reddy would have seen as well as Babala was presenting that there is an increase in terms of our completion of projects as well as intervention by the minister. So those indications are clearly putting through a message that there is an accelerated effort by the department to ensure that we increase timelines. We are chasing a moving target. On an annual basis, we do set ourselves targets. As if you've seen in the presentation, there are projects that overlap over a couple of years, but we are basically measuring and accelerating them. And I think the DG can add to that. Thank you, Minister.
I think there's still a question on the quality of the water. How are we going to address that? And then maybe, Minister, I can maybe just change this question on already. We understand that the reticulation is being done by municipalities. I think the question would be that 75% of people's got water now. Is there already bulk water infrastructure in place so that more people can get access to water as we speak now? And it is only for municipalities to use their grants to reticulate that water. Can maybe get clarity on that as well, Minister?
All right, maybe I can. Okay. Yes, if I may just come back. Thank you, Chair, for the clarity. Our two grants, the RBIG and WSIG, mostly RBIG, we deal much with our bulk infrastructure projects. So from source in terms of the abstraction, mostly to our water treatment plant. And we do install some of the secondary pipelines that goes to reservoirs, and we use our WSIG for reticulation. But there's a big portion which is funded by MIG, which, as we all know, that our municipalities, our water service providers and water service authorities, their mandate to reticulate rests with them. So it's a shared responsibility. And but we on our side, we are able to commit average on a year about 14.5 billion or so to deal with the bulk as well as reticulation. And we've increased the level of service on most of our projects to do even household connections. But there's a bigger portion that rests much with our contracts through MIG. And as I've said, Chair, on our consultation with municipalities throughout the country, we have also taken a look at the MIG funded project, and we've realized that there is actually progress on their side. But however, there's a need to integrate planning as we have taken over the department to support them in planning. So those plans to increase the level of service and access are actually underway through our grant-funded project. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, may I come in, please?
Yeah, you're muted.
Chair, a follow-up, please, if I may.
Unmute, Chairperson.
Apology. Can we maybe just get the DG first to answer, Honorable Reddy, and then you can do your follow-up?
Thank
I'll
you.
give you the opportunity. It's fine.
Thank you. Yes, firstly, to add what Rizimati said about increasing access. Unfortunately, over the last 5 or 10 years or so, the municipalities have been prioritizing rehabilitation of existing infrastructure with their grant allocations. because the infrastructure is deteriorated rapidly due to a lack of maintenance by the municipalities. We've taken a strategic decision by the department to strongly encourage the municipalities in future to go back to prioritizing projects to be funded from the grants that will increase access, and to use their to address their non-revenue water, to get more revenue from the sale of water, and to use that money to properly maintain their infrastructure so that they don't have to rehabilitate. They don't have to spend the grant money rehabilitating infrastructure which is deteriorated due to a lack of maintenance. So we hope with an increased emphasis on using the grants to increase access, that will accelerate progress towards addressing the remaining communities without access to a basic level of service. On the water quality issue, there's a range of actions that we're taking. The firstly is that we held a summit with all the water services authorities in January 2024, where it was agreed, where at that summit, we presented the results of the blue, green, and no drop reports to all the municipalities. And it was resolved at that summit, together with the water services authorities, that they would all develop corrective action plans to address the water quality issues and other issues identified in the drop reports. We are now having a follow-up summit, which we're calling an Indaba, at the end of this month, where we'll be looking with the water services authorities at their progress in developing and implementing these corrective action plans. Most of them have produced corrective action plans, and they're at various stages of implementing them, but we'll be focusing on that during the Indaba. Secondly, we also, as Rizimati has indicated, with the grants, many of the grant projects help to address water quality. So, for example, where there's water quality problems because the water treatment works is not in a good state, using a grant to rehabilitate the water treatment works will improve the quality of the water. But we also support the municipalities in several other ways, including providing them with planning support. Our norms and standards that we apply to the municipalities in terms of the Water Services Act can also be viewed as a form of support, because they specify what kind of skilled staff the municipalities must have at their water treatment works, such as process controllers who know how to do the water treatment processes properly, and how many of those kind of staff they must have at each facility. And by the way, that's also covered by the Blue Drop Report. So the Blue Drop Report isn't only a regulatory mechanism which identifies weaknesses, it also provides the municipalities with detailed information of what they need to do to improve the situation. So the drop reports themselves are a support mechanism, because if you're running a water services authority and you have water quality problems, you can use the results of the drop report to determine exactly what you need to do to address those problems. And then finally, Chair and honourable members, the reforms that are being implemented in the sector will also help to address the water quality problems. In the metropolitan municipalities, the ring fencing of revenue from the sale of water will mean that more money is available to improve the management of the water treatment works and address quality issues where there are. And our amendment to the Water Services Act, in terms of introducing an operating license for water service providers to ensure that they have a minimum level of capability, will also assist in ensuring that in future they have the necessary skills and ability to treat the water according to the standard processes and to test it according to the required tests, so that the quality can be improved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Honourable Reddy, are you satisfied?
very much.
Is there some clarity that you
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm very encouraged by the response by the Minister, Mr. Mate, as well as the DG. Really, I'm very encouraged. It's almost like the DG is some kind of a sangoma, because he answered the question I was about to ask, whether the Indaba is going to cover issues like water treatment as well as non-revenue water. My issue lies with the fact that many municipalities lack capacity. And in the kind of support that we give, it has to be support that assists municipalities in identifying or managing how they spend grant funding. Because a serious challenge with municipalities is the fact that they do not have skilled staff. They lack engineers and other kind of important resource that's required to manage these funds effectively and to prioritize them in the right way. So I thank you very much for that response. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Reddy. Honorable Moore.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me start by saying thank you for the report to the department, and it's I think overall an encouraging report. There's good indicators, good movement, and especially now that we've got a version that really shows the difference between Q2 and Q3, you can even see just between the quarters there's an improvement. So thank you to everyone, and if nothing else, for the frustration of me raising the issue of the presentations, please know that we are reading your presentations. My two questions are, the first is just with regards to, on slide 16, I think it is, 1.4.1 percentage implementation of the financial recovery plan and turnaround plan. I'd just like a little bit of a little bit more information around the bank overdraft and particularly the raw water debt. Obviously, that stems from the concern of the pipeline, municipal debt going to water board debt, going to all the way to the Water Trading Authority. So if I can get a little bit of the information on that. And then with regards to the third quarter report with regards to the WSIG grant, I think it's, I'm trying to see that, is it page 31? In terms of Limpopo and the completion of the projects, I wanted to know, is there a unique reason for each of them, or is there a general challenge in Limpopo that has resulted in 2 out of 16 being completed? Just if it's just every single project just happens to have challenges there, but if there's a general trend or a general challenge in Limpopo, I'd appreciate having some more information on that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Minister?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Moore. On the raw water debt, as Honorable Moore knows that we provide raw water to our water boards who treat water and supply that water to municipalities, be that as may. There is the water board supposed to pay us as Department of Water because they are supposed to be paid by municipality. But that value chain is not going in accordance to what it's supposed to be, because the consumers, the end consumers, they don't pay municipalities. Municipalities then fail to pay, but that is not only those who have utilized water, but it's because of the high level of the non-revenue water, of which, I'm sorry, Chair, of which we think that the immediate things that we have said in this committee and to all municipalities is that for us to be able to be in the balance, we must ensure that every stakeholder, every party plays its own role so that we can be able to save water. How we allocate WSIG, our intention of allocating WSIG as well as RPIG is to augment on other grants that municipalities have. And I must say here in this committee, there are municipalities who are unable even to utilize fully that grant that has been allocated to them. The case in hand is OR Tambo. OR Tambo, with all the backlog of lack of access to water, but they return money time and again. So that is why in this Indaba, we're going to have a very dedicated breakaway room to say, all of us, we stay in these municipalities. We know exactly what is happening. What could be the immediate intervention plan that can come up with, because we don't want that Indaba to be a talk show, but that Indaba must go to an extent of saying with the profiled municipalities that we've profiled, what could be the mitigating factor as of yesterday, because we cannot continue like this. But allow me to invite DG Mate and DG to also make some additions here. Thank you.
DG?
Thanks, Chair. I'd like to ask Frans to answer Honourable Moore's question about the financial questions, the financial recovery plan. Frans?
Thank you, DG. Just to add also to the issue on rota debt that Minister spoke to, I can also add, Honourable Moore, that we do have interventions that we have put in addition to what Minister has outlined, our revenue enhancement strategy. We have an incentive scheme as well. We do have debt collectors that we are using from the National Treasury transversal contract, which have been appointed to assist with the recovery of outstanding debtors. That is mainly in relation to your companies and individuals. We have also recently, now the Director General approved our debt relief program for ensuring that we encourage our municipalities to settle their current accounts, but those are detailed on slide number 67. With regard to the bank overdraft, that relates to the overspending of the budget in the previous financial year, as indicated on slide number 43, is the unauthorized expenditure that emanated from bucket eradication program as well as the war on leaks program. We have submitted our presentations and reports to SCOPA via National Treasury, and we are still waiting for the outcome of that process. So that will remain in our books in line with the Public Finance Management Act until Parliament has given us green light on the unauthorized expenditure, and then we'll be able to clear the bank overdraft either through the current allocation or there will be a special allocation. But it is a historic balance. Honourable Moore, thanks. Thanks.
And then Rizimati, could you come in on the WISI grant with Limpopo?
Thanks, DG. The challenge with regard to Limpopo, which Honourable Moore has raised, is that some of the major delays we have experienced is mostly where we are implementing 6B. These are the grants that where we are intervening, we hold the money back in our account and we wait for the completion of the work. We've had some delays where the implementing agent took time to appoint the service providers, and this talks to the procurement processes. Some of those challenges were based on the fact that some service providers were poorly performing. And as you may know, Chair and Honourable Moore, that the implementation of this project, we have to comply with our general conditions of contract, which is the GCC. And in this case, when there is issues of non-performance, we are forced to therefore terminate due to poor performance. And when we put penalties and we end up terminating, they end up delaying the project even more. But however, keeping the same service providers and not performing further delays the project. These are amongst the challenges that we basically face in Limpopo, but they are throughout the country. So it's not only in Limpopo, but we do face these kind of challenges where service providers don't have the cash flow. They struggle to procure materials. They delay, there's work stoppages due to some of the organized businesses in the area. those are some of the challenges that we're facing, but we have managed to unblock some of this. The provincial head has actually come with an intervention plan in the province where some of these projects where we are intervening, there's a weekly progress meeting that she is having. Some are linked to the SIU related investigations in the province, especially on the Guyana one. However, we are actually making progress now that most of these projects are basically moving. And maybe to keep it off DG, what we have also done, Honorable Moore, is where we have realized that the slow procurement processes and the implementing agents takes time, the provincial head is able to appoint people that form part of the procurement processes in these municipalities to support them so that the process runs smooth and faster. So these are some of the interventions that we have actually intervened. Thank you, DG. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable, yes. DG, would you like to add something?
No, thank you, Chair. I think we've covered.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Moore, are you satisfied with the response?
Thank you, Chair. Just, I suppose I asked a bit of a challenging question in terms of, from my side, my concern around the raw water debt is really because of the pipeline. And the last presentation we received said that Vaal Central and Magalies Water are due to go bankrupt in a couple of months unless something changes. I believe something has changed. So I was just, I think it might be quite useful for us to receive some information in some way of that pipeline of the municipal debt, which we got a good presentation on a while back, but then also the water board debt going to the water trading entity and the status of that. That doesn't need to come from this presentation. And then just to understand the at some point, Chair, again, it may be useful to understand the quarterly report, get a breakdown on it, because when I go to slide 78 on the WSEG 6B Limpopo expenditure, most of that's at 100%. When I go to the 5B expenditure on slide 63, again, there's a couple on 100% and a couple on various states. When you see something on a graph that says 2 out of 16 are completed, etc., it obviously is just the correlation between the data is I'm not sure on, and it might be valuable to get something some point. It doesn't have to be tonight, but just from my side, that's when I see a big 2 out of 16, but then a lot of the expenditure has already been fully paid. I need to understand the correlation. Thank you, Chair.
DG, would you like to maybe add something, or would you come on a later stage?
Yes, please, Chair. We will provide data later as it starts coming in. As honourable members will be aware, it's only recently that we got approval from National Treasury to withhold the equitable share as a last resort. So that started happening now. And now that that's happening, we are now changing our stance towards the water boards, particularly the two that were in a very difficult financial situation. And we are now saying to them that now that you're getting the invoices, the current invoices fully paid by the municipalities, even through municipalities which didn't pay, which are now having their equitable share withheld, there's now no longer any reason for those water boards not to pay their current invoices to the trading to the water trading entity. So we're now going to start being much stricter with those water boards about paying their current invoices to their water trading entity. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Honourable
Chair,
Chair,
sorry,
Minister, you're more than welcome.
Yes, Chair. We have received also a notice from Treasury on other municipalities whose equitable share will be withheld. Those municipalities now are coming forward, running to say, let's send an intervention letter that commits that they are going to pay. So we just said to them, up until you start servicing your debt. But also it is unfortunate, honourable members, that the municipalities are not taking advantage of what we said to them to say, if you pay your current invoices, the historic debts will be cancelled. They don't take advantage of that because they were going to save if they were going to do that. But now they accumulate debt time and again. And unfortunately, we cannot go to National Treasury, request for intervention, then we change in between and say, no, now give them money. So up until municipality knocks sense to say that they must do the right thing. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Dithebe.
Good evening, Chairperson, honorable members, Minister, DG, all officials, colleagues. Chairperson, Q2 of 2024-25, the report here says training for no-drop progress assessment, completion of implementation readiness studies for water and wastewater services projects, RBIC. Chairperson, just staying with the green drop and no drop. I should have referred to the green drop assessments. It is quite understandable, Chairperson, in the spirit of our constitution, that the department will not run municipalities or does not run municipalities. But I think the drafters of our constitution were very intentional when they used these three words in Chapter 3 of our constitution under cooperative government, that the three spheres of government, of course, recognizing the indivisibility of the republic, and that the three spheres of government must pursue the well-being of its citizens. I mean, the well-being of the citizens must be guaranteed. But I want to add, Chairperson, that it must not just be the well-being, but the quality of life of our people. And the reason I am juxtaposing well-being to quality of life is that if you look at the green drop assessments, and we know that there was a pause, I think 2013-14 thereabout, of these reports with very disastrous consequences. And thanks to Minister Mchunu for having restored those, and thanks to Minister Majodina and the department for vowing to continue with these. Because if we do not do so, without a doubt, the well-being of the citizens of the Republic and indeed their quality of life, particularly insofar as the green drop assessments are concerned, will be highly compromised. And back to the question of the spirit of our Constitution, Chairperson, it says the three spheres of government are interdependent, interrelated, but that each sphere of government is in its own right distinct. But it is not, Chairperson, to be understood that the distinct nature of each sphere of government means that the three spheres of government cannot and must not cooperate. Otherwise, we would not be having Operation Vulindlela. We would not be having the district development model. So what I'm trying to say is that some areas may be very difficult, and the minister is on record as stating this over and over again, and especially to the extent that some areas would have to be dealt with between water and sanitation and cooperative governance and traditional affairs, and yes, in particular, COCTA. But I want to say, Chairperson, that the lived experience of people across the country where there is a menace of the green drop situation where, sewer is spilling all over, the good intention on the part of the department notwithstanding, that just continues to be a problem. And oftentimes citizens are not quite sure if a particular project has begun, when will that project end? They might not even know that the department has intervened fiscally, that is, to ensure that their well-being and their quality of life is indeed respected or guaranteed. So I'd like to know whether the department sees any progress as far as the maintenance of the green drop status of municipalities' water service authorities. I've heard about the water endeavor that's coming end of the month. But as we speak, we certainly have got to be working towards something that will help ease the situation or turn the situation around. Lastly, Chairperson, we have in South Africa quite a number of well-rated science councils, and in this instance, Chairperson, I am, thinking of the CSIR, which has done quite a great deal of good work. If you look, for example, at what they call the Green Book, which Green Book actually even tells you in terms of the risks that obtain as far as the environment, the socioeconomic conditions of the people, the economic situation, the physical situation, etc. That is a very important scientific tool that can be relied upon to say what exactly is the situation in this particular municipality with regards to climate, to the environment, etc. Now, my question therefore is the department working? I know they work with the Water Research Commission, but CSIR in particular, to ensure that the department leverages IP and scientific prowess of such science councils as the CSIR, in particular with regards to the wastewater treatment works, because I believe that this can really go a long way towards ensuring that the department is alive to the actual situation, and that the municipalities themselves, once they use that tool, that is if it doesn't exist, once they use that tool, like the Green Book tool that by CSIR, which applies to all municipalities, then insofar as the three reports, the blue drop, the green drop, and the no drop, will the department, the minister perhaps agree, and the department, that it's something that if we do that improvisation, can help us get out of this? Because I can tell you, you go anywhere in the country, you will find the interventions by the department on the ground, but progress will be painfully slow, with projects oftentimes being mired in uncertainty as to when they will be completed. I hope, Chairperson, I'm clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minister?
Dear Mahlobo would like to respond, Chair. Thank you.
Minister, you're welcome. Good
No,
evening.
thank you very much, Chair, and thanks to Minister and members, DG and the team. Honorable Comrade Tebe, the question you are asking on the first part, let's not lose sight what is the responsibility of Minister of Water and Sanitation. One of the responsibilities we do is to set norms and standards around question of access to water and sanitation services, including the reliability issues. The instrument that the minister reintroduced around the question of the drop reports is an important monitoring tool so that we can be in a position to assess whether these municipalities are able to discharge their responsibility as required in law to meet the issues of the imperative of the Constitution, the SDGs, the NDP, and the medium-term development plan. That's why Minister is committed to continue to do this assessment so that we can be able to give assurance to citizens that the quality of the water and the availability, they meet those minimum standards that are required. And when Minister does some of the issues, when you look at the blue drop and the green drop, the blue drop and the green drop in the main is about issues of water quality. And water quality have an impact around the issues of shortage of access, because if water quality is affected in many, many communities, there will be an exposure ecologically in terms of people exposed to waterborne diseases and other issues. It will impact on our products that will not be able even to actually do the produce for agriculture and so forth. Therefore, what we do, there are two elements. One of the elements Minister does is to support them. In supporting them, there are a lot of support initiatives of a number of municipalities where they can't actually manage their effluent that gets discharged into our rivers, actually causing untold damage in a number of water management systems that are highly polluted now. Mfuleni is one example where Minister intervened. This is one of the best examples of an intervention. We'll go to Machabeng in Belcom, there is a ministerial intervention. You go to Mpumalanga, Eligwa, Standerton, around issues of effluent that get to be discharged raw as it is because the wastewater system were failing. Minister Majodina intervened. You go to Tshwane. Tshwane, the biggest issue about the Roy valve system that impacts on the water treatment plant of Etemba. These are many, many interventions. Intervention, they are part of the injunction by the Constitution that we must support them. Etegwini, you will know that their wastewater system and infrastructure were washed. It threatened their actually capability of being the tourist and the destination site for a number of tourist potential, both domestic and international. Minister made Umgeni Utugala Water to be available as her institution at the disposal. That's why in December this year, many of their beaches were actually being attended to. You know, recently we're dealing with the situation of Cape Town, of their wastewater system that has challenges. Others are working well, but others are struggling. And our team here, Sister Zanelle, she's working with the city of Cape Town that they came there. You could see that issues of support, the minister does them. But minister also is responsible to ensure that it is compliance. Compliance with our national water resource quality objectives, that you can't pollute. That's why DMC Lulu has been assisting the minister in dealing with some of those issues. And you could see the issues of Mohale City in my own province where I come from. There was an issue that was taken to court. You know, a municipality called Msubalikwa, a penalty of 300 million, to demonstrate that those who pollute our system, they will have to be dealt with. But I must admit that when we go to this meeting Minister is hosting with the President next week, including yourselves will be there, we'll discuss the matter of the capacity of these municipalities in managing their wastewater system. We'll look at the question, for an example, on how can there be other delivery models to assist municipalities because they've done underinvestment when it comes to wastewater treatment works. That's why a private partnership was one of the things we signed, where certain private sector, like a big company like Ivan Plans, we allowed them to build a wastewater treatment plant for a small municipality called Mkhalakwena in Limpopo, a state of the art. We look at the issues of Anglo, they do have an appetite of actually getting involved in wastewater systems. But in terms of ministers' bigger work, she was addressing the 14th International Conference around the issues of management of water, especially on reuse, reclamation, and so forth. That's the work we do, because the wastewater systems, they can be converted to manage the sludge to produce fertilizers, they can produce gas, and that effluent can be used. There are a lot of these interventions. You look at her grants, some of the grants of RBIC and WISI, they are also used just to deal with infrastructure related to wastewater system. Therefore, your point of cooperation, coordination, and oversight, we are doing it, but the resources are limited. Therefore, in our balancing act, we don't want the matter of effluent, which is issues coming from industrial, agricultural, and domestic, to be neglected. On issues of the use of research institution, Minister tasked me to work on partnership. We work with universities, CSIR, including the institution under the leadership of the minister called the Water Research Commission. Currently, the Water Research Commission on behalf of the minister is hosting the World Day in Cape Town. They concluded their conference this afternoon. Minister went to close it. Water Research Commission won a prize on wet technology. Wet technology is where we are looking at other solutions around wastewater management, even using less water. Therefore, they are at the cutting edge. The only problem we have, there are technologies that they produce with a number of scientists who are doctors, some of them doing MSc. There are a lot of them. They are working with the Water Research Commission. When they produce these technologies, sometimes the state, due to its procurement regulatory barriers, were not the off-takers of this technology. Instead of making it easy for an institution that is only led and owned by government, not to be subjected to some of those processes. Those are some of the issues that we're looking. But South Africa is the leading institution in dealing with those issues. But when we were then in our comrade, the Honorable Determ, look at Minister has an area of concern or a pillar called capacity building. Capacity building will look at issues of institutional capabilities. It will look at research and development. It will also look at issues of technological transfer. But your input, we do take it in account, and then we'll say, what can we do much better to actually do the issues of efficiency? But ultimately, we support, but if you break the law, we'll deal decisively, because the price to be paid by effluent that contaminates our environment is too much for the next generation, including our economic prospects. Thank you very much, Chair. Uncle Passon.
Thank you very much. DG?
Thanks, Chair. We do have a memorandum of understanding with the CSIR, through which we have access to all their technologies related to water and sanitation. We also do have good technical expertise in the department on wastewater and water treatment. But generally, the problems in municipalities are not because of a lack of availability of technical knowledge. It's more management and governance issues. The technical knowledge can be quite easily made available. Also, just to mention that we are proceeding with the blue, green, and no drop reports. We have appointed a service provider to assist us with the detailed audits on a 3-year contract, and we will be issuing a series of blue, green, and no drop reports over the next 3 years, starting in December this year. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Ditebe, are you satisfied?
Chairperson, yes, I am satisfied. Yet I'd like to make this comment that I think all of us in the committee are agreed that the department is doing everything it can to assist municipalities. but clearly based on experience, there are some limitations. And I think we must continue as the portfolio committee from the vantage point of oversight to ideate about this, to focus our efforts on this so that, it doesn't happen as it does, that when people do not have water, they always come to the department, and it's understandable because the department is really working. There certainly are municipalities. We don't want to treat everybody as if they are not doing their part. There are municipalities across the country that are doing their part, but we want it to be not an exception but a norm, that all municipalities are doing what they are supposed to do. The last one, Chairperson, I should have asked this. Maybe the minister might want to comment on the issue of the Water Services Amendment Bill and what was presented previously, that there seems to be reluctance on the part of the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor that they must proceed with the proposed amendments because this is deemed somehow as something of an overreach. Now, if that is the opinion of the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor, will that not delay what otherwise is a very good project so that we address exactly this very concern that I have? And of course, while recognizing the good work that the department is doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. On the last one, Minister, would you like just to comment on that, or you or the DG?
Yes. Thank you very much, Chair, and to Honorable Editebe. We have this morning received the approval of the Chief State Law Advisor for the Water Services Amendment Bill. We'll now proceed with that bill to the cluster, then to cabinet, then it will come to Parliament. So at least there's a breakthrough. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Members, I don't see any other hands. Is there maybe a member that still would like, sorry, there the hands come back. Honorable Mbiku.
Good evening, good evening, Chair, and good evening to the honorable members. I would like just to know, Chair, because when I looked at page 8, I noticed that there is a slide on grant-funded projects per province. And that slide shows that there are 15 projects previously under RBIG. And these were approved as budget facility infrastructure projects. So my question is, what is the criteria for moving these projects to BFR? And I also want to know if maybe there could be an example, of this, if the examples can be provided so that I understand this better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minister?
DG, can you respond on this?
Yes, thank you, Minister. The best placed person to respond on this is Rizimati. Rizimati?
Thanks, DG. So the question by the honorable member, when it comes to projects that are supposed to be BFI compliance, what we do is that all the projects that have got the economic component, in other words, there are businesses or industries or economic zone or mines that can have a direct offtake of that water. Then we package the project to cover 2 criteria. The social component, which will be funded by RBIG. And then there's an economic component, That makes this project to therefore qualify to go to what we call the budget facility for infrastructure. And this is where we get the co-funding for the project. When it comes to the department, the money is accounted for as R-big. That is why you see there indicated as R-big. But we know the classification. An example of such project, Chair, as we said last in the presentation that we had last week, you would have seen a list of what we call the BFI, which is a blended finance type of project. I'll give an example. One example is what we are implementing in Limpopo, what we call the Olifants Ebenezer scheme. The Olifants Ebenezer scheme is a project that is taking water to supply areas around Kukune, as well as the bulk in Polokwane. The implementing agent for that project is our water boards, the Lepelle Northern Water. That project has got two components. There's a portion that feeds into the social part of it, which is funded by the RBIG, but there's also an economic component where there are off-takers. There are tariffs included in there to do the cost-benefit analysis to see that there are people who are able to pay for that water. That is the type of what we call the blended finance or project that qualify for BFI. We have got the Olifants Ebenezer management model. You will have heard us talk about Valhamahara project as well, and a whole host of those projects that are fit for such blended finance. And the list goes on. I hope that answers it. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, DG.
Just add, Chairperson, so the National Treasury is trying to encourage departments to get more private sector involvement in infrastructure. So they set up this BFI mechanism as an incentive for departments to do that. So for these projects, which can be a combination of private sector financing and government financing, like Olifants Ebenezer, we go to the National Treasury and we say, we'd like you to give us additional money to add to the RBIG for us to implement this project as a blended finance project. And then they make the additional allocation to us, which is channeled through the RBIG. And we then use that money together with money raised in the markets from the private sector to do a bigger project than we would normally be able to do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mbiku, are you satisfied with the response you got?
Yeah, that was a very good lecture. I've learned a lot. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Reddy, you will be the last person to ask questions.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me just begin by stating that, an easy response would be for us to say that municipalities, local government has a particular responsibility, we have another responsibility, and so on. But I think the reality, and Minister will share this with me, Deputy Minister as well, that as people who are politicians elected by communities, we have a responsibility to the communities that elected us. And often when we say we are in the water sector, they want answers. In the past, I was involved with Umgeni Water, especially when there was a crisis, when there was flooding and so on. The board, Umgeni Water Board, together with the department, we would work with the municipality to assist. So that the department has played a kind of a coordinating role. I recall previous ministers, Nombula Mokonyani, Senzo Mkunu, the deputy minister currently, where whenever there's a crisis that besieges municipalities, right now as we speak, in my own home, there has been no water for 5 days. And my wife is phoning me frantically because she can't get hold of the councillor or anything else like that. And I'm scared to go back home. I don't know how to answer them. That's a bit lighthearted. But the question I'm going to ask now, and I know there's an easy answer to it, it's simply to say, well, this is not our responsibility. And that is the issue of non-revenue water, which was picked up in the report. It says that non-revenue water increased from 37% in 2014 to 47% in 2023. And this is not a true reflection, because I can tell you in eThekwini, the water losses is at 57%. Chair, the issue is that when it comes to the water board, it's an economic exercise for them. They sell the water. As long as they're selling the water, interested in how the water is being used. And I think as a department, we need to be aware that we are a water scarce country. We need to then play a coordinating role to ensure that municipalities are conducting studies to determine exactly where the water is being lost and to be able to assist them in developing interventions. Now, one of the previous honorable members spoke about one of the institutes. I want to mention things like the Water Institute of South Africa, WISA. There's also the Research Commission. These are organizations that are willing to work with the department to find innovative solutions to the dilemma faced by most of our residents. So my question, Chairperson, is what initiatives are underway to reduce these water losses? And how does the department intend to improve water use efficiency across municipalities? And along with that, I want us to look at also, I found in the report that, and I want to acknowledge this, I think it's something that's worth praising and thanking the department for, that the department has acknowledged that there is a need for approximately 900 billion rands. So we've already quantified what is the value of dealing with the problem in this country, 900 billion rands over the next decade to stabilize water infrastructure. So what I'd like to find out from the DG, Minister or Deputy Minister, is have we prioritized projects that will be identified for this investment? And how will the department ensure the transparency and efficient allocation of these funds? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Reddy. Minister?
Thank you, Minister. I'll go first, Chairperson, and then Rizimati might want to add. Firstly, Honorable Reddy, the national average is 47%. So some municipalities are higher than that, like you indicated. eThekwini is significantly higher, but other areas it's lower than that. So that 47% is the national average. There's a few things happening not only by us but by other parts of the national government as well to address this issue. We previously mentioned to the committee that National Treasury is implementing a very important program called the Reform of Metropolitan Trading Services Program, which has also introduced a large new grant called the Metropolitan Trading Services Grant. So all the cities in the country are participating in this Reform of Metropolitan Trading Services Program. And without going into it in depth, a couple of very important parts of it. Firstly, is that revenue, it's resulting in ring fencing of revenue from the sale of water in all the metros for the water function, which provides a very strong incentive for the water and sanitation departments in the metros to maximize revenue and to manage their infrastructure in a way that maximizes revenue. Because in the past, they just got a budget every year, regardless of how much revenue was obtained from the sale of water. Now they're going to get all of the revenue, or almost all of the revenue, from the sale of water. So that management incentive is extremely important. Secondly, the issuing of this grant, this new very large grant, it's about 50 or 60 billion rand that the metro municipalities will have access to. It's a performance-based grant, and the National Treasury has put in place certain indicators, including non-revenue water. So metropolitan municipalities that make progress in reducing non-revenue water, it's one of the main performance-based indicators, will be able to access this grant and get grant allocations. So that should put them into a virtuous improvement cycle, because they'll be able to use the grants to further reduce non-revenue water, for example, through replacing old leaking pipes. Then there's going to be a second phase of Operation Vulindlela managed by the presidency, which will include water reforms. And similarly to the reform of Metropolitan Trading Services Program, one of those key reforms will be reforms aimed at generally ring-fencing revenue from the sale of water across the country. It's not something we can do on our own as DWS, but working together under the leadership of the presidency with Treasury and COGTA, there are ways in which we can push municipalities towards ring-fencing revenue, which will have the same positive effects. Then thirdly, some of our RBIG and WISA grant money goes to projects which assist with the reduction of non-revenue water. There's a whole range of things that can be done by municipalities to reduce non-revenue water. For example, they need to have the correct meters in place in their systems, and the meters need to be working. So they are allowed to use grant money for meter replacement and for putting in meters where they're not there. They are also allowed to use the grant money for pipe replacement, and so there are some grant-funded projects which do pipe replacement. But there isn't enough money in the grants to address the non-revenue water problem, particularly in the larger municipalities. But reducing non-revenue water is a very suitable area for private sector participation, because if the private sector invests, for example, in replacing large leaking pipes in metropolitan municipalities, there's an obvious return on that investment, because the municipalities will save money by no longer having that water leaking out of the old pipes. And those savings can be used to give a return on the investment by the private sector. So in that regard, our Water Partnerships Office that we've established together with SALGA and the Development Bank have put in place a number of standardized programs to support municipalities to bring bankable projects to the market in areas like non-revenue water. And non-revenue water reduction is one of those standardized programs. So, for example, Honourable Reddy, eThekwini itself is working with our Water Partnerships Office. They're in the advanced stage of putting in place a non-revenue water public-private partnership. Related to our previous discussion, our Water Partnerships Office assisted them to go to the Budget Facility for Infrastructure and National Treasury, the BFI, and the BFI has given them quite a substantial allocation to make the project more bankable. So it's going to be a blended finance project, but that is soon going to be going to market, which will go a long way in terms of raising additional capital to help eThekwini to be able to reduce its non-revenue water. Thank you, Chair. I don't know, Rizimati, if you want to add.
Thanks, DG. The only point that I want to add is that it's a good thing that Honorable Reddy has vast experience from Mumgin Chugel. One of the things that we're doing, Chair, in support to the municipality in this direct question is that we have identified a lack of accurate asset register in municipalities, part of which we struggle to implement project. In the platform, we have got all the 9 provincial heads, and what we are doing through the directive of the minister is that we do what we call the 5-year reliability plan. These 5-year reliability plans, we do assessment of the current conditions of the infrastructure on the ground in all these municipalities, develop what we call the water services development plan, which must go through council. The bigger portion of that WSDP, Chair, talks to water conservation and demand management, and it links back to everything that the DG have said. This is a program that the department funds. We use this to elevate key projects that must go through our RBIG funding as well as WSIG funded project. And then we do monitoring on a quarterly basis, and it links back to everything that Ubabalo and the CFO has spoken with regard to the financial compliance. So this is basically what we are doing through our provincial head in the regional offices and through head office. I thought I should just add and clarify that point. Thank you, DG.
Thank you very much. Honourable Reddy, I think with that good news, you can go home. You don't need to worry about your wife if you tell her the good news. Are you satisfied with the questions?
I don't think it's going to help, Chair. But you know, I'm so encouraged by what I've heard. I just want to add one point. You know, if you look at the procurement of these pipes, 3 billion will be allocated. And if you look at the prices that's being paid for the pipes across municipalities, they vary considerably. The department needs to consider sort of a central procurement of these pipes so that it purchases the pipes from the most suitable supplier at a most reasonable cost and supply the pipes to municipalities. Because I can tell you that 60 billion will be used up so fast, and I can tell you that corruption will also creep in there. So just be aware of that. Really, I'm encouraged at the interventions that we're talking about. I know it's going to take a long time, but people out there are really crying out for assistance. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
That attitude, you must be encouraged there in plenary. Take that attitude there to plenary.
Wait, Minister. Let's I think the Deputy Minister wants to go with Honourable Reddy home to explain to his wife. Minister, before I give you Honourable Kobe, I will come back to you. I'm a gentleman tonight, and you can close this questioning session, although I already said we finished with Honourable Reddy. But I don't want to get into a very bad situation with Honourable Ditebe. So I will allow you to complete the session. But Deputy Minister, you can continue.
No, thanks, Chair. Honorable Reddy can just report at home. He knows he has been in the water space. You know, Nelson Mandela Bay, Gqeberha, when there were problems. One of the things we took with the team that worked in Cape Town were to reduce their non-revenue water and attend to issues of technical inefficiency. There were teams that were given the tools of trade, and there were a number of these leaking pipes, including the bursting of pipes. It actually has worked. You have not been worried yourselves as a leadership of the portfolio committee about Nelson Mandela Bay for quite some time when they were closer to day zero. But we still have to say this, that's how we brought the teams. Even what is happening now in Johannesburg. In Johannesburg, when Minister Majordina holds the meetings every Sunday with the Premier and ourselves, we always demand of them, those municipalities in Gauteng, to report. How are they actually dealing with the best pipes? The turnaround time, Mr. Honorable Moore will look at that. There were some of these pipes that they must be replaced, but they are working on that in terms of putting with teams, including Rainwater, giving them the support. eThekwini, that's why that presidential working group led by Minister at a technical level, the DG, the recent one that is happening in Joburg. It is in our interest, Chairperson, to push non-revenue water to international accepted standard. We cannot have about 47%. One municipality in the country is actually losing 72%. When we actually push non-revenue water, which is a function of asset management and infrastructure management, our reliability, Chairperson, as directed by Minister, will increase from 67% to more than 80% or so that people cannot be subjected to intermittent water supply or no supply at all. Reddy will be able to share now, at least he sits in this committee, and the committee over years, they have not only been providing oversight, but we have been partners in finding solutions. And I was very pleased when Minister invited all of you in terms of air extension. We don't want to claim as a minister to have a monopoly of wisdom. You have your own lived experiences. I hope on the 27 and 28, you will make a fruitful contribution so that we lift up all these barriers, we open up the water sector and ensure that all South Africans, they do have access to water, including their benefits. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honourable Kobe, can we close?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think I want to maybe end the meeting on on a positive note, I noted during Honorable Ditewe's deliberation that he mentioned the issue of the bill that has now, found breakthrough. I'm interested to know, how did Honorable Ditewe know what stage the bill was? And also, Chair, maybe for the benefit of the entire committee, if we can have a dashboard so that we know what stage the bill is at, so that we know and prepare ourselves in terms of the contribution. That's all. But well done on the department with moving the bill one stage up. Thanks, Chair.
I think I can answer that question. I think Honorable Ditewe is well connected and doing his homework. I think, I don't know whether someone would like to answer on that, Minister, or do you agree with that?
No,
in our previous,
Honorable
in our
Ditewe can answer the
previous
first
meeting,
one.
Chair, we reported in our previous meeting that we've done everything. During question session, I also alluded to that. We are just awaiting for the nodding by the state law advisor. And I was responding to the question that was asked by Honorable Ditewe. So you have been tracking this bill.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you very much. Honorable Kobe, are you satisfied? Maybe that day you were here, but you were not here.
Absolutely satisfied. I just thought he
We
had friends
can
that he
suggest
didn't
that
have.
the Honorable Dikobe can have tea, can have
Minister,
water.
Deputy Minister, you're out of order. Honorable Kobe.
I'm satisfied, Chair. It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, thank you very much. I think we are concluding this meeting now.
Honorable Chairperson, just a quick one.
Please.
There's a conference in Sweden. There's a conference in Sweden, and I think all of us should attend that conference. I think Majudina knows about it. She can invite the entire committee to go out there, and we can do some studying of international best practice. Thank you.
Ask your MKP leader to fund that for us. Colleagues, can I just make one comment that next week on Tuesday, we would have had the department with us, but due to the fact that a lot of our members in the committee is on other committees and going on oversight, I felt it not to be a good thing to continue with 4 members of the committee to continue with that meeting, and I have requested that we write to the department and postpone that meeting. We will work in that meeting in the rest of the year, and I hope everybody is satisfied with that. But I didn't feel comfortable having only 4 members there and then need to bring in other people to make up a quorum. I don't think that would be the right thing to do, as members need to go on oversight where they are in other committees, and we respect them for doing that hard work in the other committees as well. So DG, you and Minister, there won't be a meeting next week, Tuesday, for yourself to make a presentation to us. We will inform you on a later date when we will look at that. Thank you very much. We were scheduled till 9 o'clock. And thank you very much for everybody that used their own time to make themselves available for this meeting. It's much appreciated. And to members of Parliament as well that had a long day. Thank you very much to yourselves, and then also lastly to the officials. Also, I hope you will get something from the DG concerning having meetings late, but that's for him to take the decision or not me. Thank you very much for your time, and I herewith adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Much
Thank you.
appreciated, Chair and honorable members. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you, Chairperson. Maleboho ya hore ko wena mang.